Is she right now?
Yes, this is her second year. In fact, I was getting ready for her because she wants to work at the, you know, the intern, the governor's office, summer. So, and she did it last year when it's been, with Aaron and Hernandez and then with Mr. Leda.
Well, I was just thinking that, like, now that young guys needs their. Because people, I was like, at UT, yeah, I did a internship at, Texas Hospital.
So when will Aaron be over there? He's there for the first one. Well, I went to the finance ceremony, so I said, oh, so I went to the.
Why not? She probably could staff.
Yes.
So that's a good time for that. She knows her.
Oh, yeah, she, in fact, she interned last summer.
Yeah, it's right there. Walking.
I'm so glad, so glad you said that. I mean, I know, I was asking that, I know she was born in, but it's not in session right
No, that's true. But I mean, they all need, yeah.
People are not.
Yeah, like this one, no, when I mean, you know, when I was in college, I did for about years. I think I answered his mail on a letter. That was some interest. You know, basically, you're getting to know the process.
now. Well, I said, you know, when I was on her, like, and saying that's her name. Last Thursday.
Gonna be there next half, at least until November, and I think he's gonna get. there's
Well,
somebody
'cause-
looking in the-
Oh, well, that's true. It's you know, you take-
Just keep them forward.
the rest of the
The
story.
rest of the-
I think she's been starting off.
Because she didn't have it.
And so I think, maybe we'll still, there will be time. So somebody has to fill the spot. So she told me.
And Jen. Now I was gonna take her with me to the swearing in, but she had something else. But she was down like a sucker.
Okay.
You know, my theory was to take all my grandkids together, and I took my girls, grandma, and I took all five of them to her meeting. Sí, tienen mucho. And they're good kids. Yes.
But here and there,
Yes, she went with a group. In fact, during the high school years, she had to find those things. Yeah.
I now call this meeting to order. The first item of the agenda is discussion. Oh, there's no public comment. There's no public comment. So the first item is discussion and approval of minutes. And I believe we have several sets of minutes to approve. So we need one vote. We only have one set. Oh, one set? Yeah, we got cut it. So have you all had a chance to look over? And are there any changes?
my first. So.
I'm so sorry.
Is there anybody online?
Not right now.
Here, the number, but I think talking might be.
On my name, can we use, I'd like to use my middle initial, E, because there's two other Georgia English in town where I'm getting each other's calls all the time. So I need to use my middle.
Yes, we'll do. Changes. Okay.
I so moved.
A motion. By Mr. George E. Olivo, and has been seconded. Mr. Benita. So let's go ahead and take the vote. All those in favor of approving?
Aye.
Motion passes. Second, item on our agenda here is the library report.
Before we start the lab report, I just want to share with the board that this is a new concept as far as the technology, the meeting. This is normally when we meet at the main branch. Hopefully, it goes well. We're going to meet next month at Pablo, at interchangeably. For many reasons, obviously, because that's one thing that we want to instill. Secondly, is because by then there might be some changes of thought as far as the furniture, the signage, and the makerspace somewhat remodel that we're about to complete. It's already been gutted out. So hopefully that will be another incentive as to the reasoning, but we're going to interchange from main to south, technology permitted. Hope you understand that, but that's the intent. And now we could see all the changes, cool stuff that we can stop. I just want to make sure that what's good out there.
Well, let me compliment you because the library, Southland Library changed, done a drastic change compared to when the original was. I mean, it's up to par with this library now. And I know you have been very instrumental in the staff, and I thank all of them for doing that. Thank you so much.
And then once you see it now, more, if you visit, there's more changes.
So the idea would be alternate meetings
Yes.
here.
Yes, and it'll be clearly stated in the agenda. So that in case, and one of the things also, how would you prefer that we communicate with you? I email you on the Friday, but we want to make sure not to waste your time. See there's a quorum, either reply back or Maribel can call you Monday morning just to confirm, because you can imagine you guys coming on over here, especially in the day, and there's no quorum. We want to be as clear as possible. That way there's no quorum enough time so we can make note that there's not going to be a quorum for people not to make plans. It's not over here. So how would you prefer to do that?
Well, in my instance, like I tell you, I'm very bad about texting. And my dad is very good. She went in and text me. Thank you for calling. She texts me. So like that, I do see it. And, oh, we have meetings. So I like, for instance, I like that. I don't know about the rest of them because we have so many emails that just like I think I'd rather have a text or a phone call.
I'm still going to email you the minutes so you can.
No, that's fine.
Kindly remind will be good. Okay, that's fine.
Same here, and I appreciate the reminder.
Yeah, that text.
I appreciate the reminder.
Because if I have the text, then I'll go to the computer.
So who will be?
Yeah, the first one is a makerspace, I believe. So there will be John will be making the presentation on some of the activities, and so we have the pictures besides the talk.
Okay, hello. My name is John Solis. I'm one of the makerspace advisors here at the main library. So just to give you a little recap of what's been happening this past month, we went out there to promote the BPL services over during the Draw Days Parade. I wish there was more people, but if y'all remember that day, it was freezing, it was raining. I must have had like 4 or 5 layers on. Thankfully, one of our library, Anthony, wore this dino suit right here. And we're kind of just trying to promote like the dino wall that's going to be premiering hopefully sometime this year. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Can you provide some feedback on the what you're doing when you were in that parade on the comments?
Sure. Actually, one of the main ones was like, oh my God, they brought the dinosaur back again. So they were pretty ecstatic that they actually saw the public library in that space, right? I feel like some of them are probably like, wow, they're still relevant in this report, right? And they are. Libraries are very relevant. They provide a lot of services to our patrons and what have you. And now with the emerging makerspace, a lot of the comments that I get, at least from the makerspace, like, wow, I didn't even know you all actually service. It's like, yeah, we just started it and we're trying to get it off the ground, and they're very, very excited. Here we have some pictures of STEM Week. We just had this week-long project go on this past week. It aligned with most of the district's spring break. So we should try to, that's what we're trying to aim for. So that way the kids have something to do during that week. Every day we had a different activity for the students to do. So we started out off a little simple with the first 2 days being 2 Lego activities. So they can get the hands-on learning, start being comfortable with like connecting items together, right? The third day was a circuit board that we created. objects. At the end of the camp, on the far right, you'll see that we gave them some certificates, so they completed the camp, we got them a certificate. They all had a great time. They wish that we had done more of these activities moving forward. Like one of them was like, when are you doing the next one? And I was like, soon. Let me catch my breath, but soon, you know. They all went, I feel, pretty successfully. One of the kids was super adamant. He's like, oh my God, this fan, I'm so excited. It's summer coming up. It's so hot. We can use it at the zoo. He must have said that so many times that I was like, I want to go to the zoo too, you know. So they thoroughly, genuinely enjoyed the project. Some of them got a little frustrated, but once we helped them out and what have you, they were like, oh, this makes sense. And they were just clicking and connecting this stuff together. For the most part, the students participated in most of the activities, except when it came for the FM radio regarding the soldering machine. They brought it to us and we started for them, right? But the majority of connecting the pieces, getting the hands-on practice, they took care of that. Yes.
What were like the age ranges?
We were aiming for students between 13 to 17, but some of them were as low as 9 years old. They had a little bit more trouble, like with the fine motor skills per se, right? But they kind of understood the concept pretty well, and they did better than honestly what I expected. We aimed for that age group of 13 to 17 because we knew at least the latter activities were going to be a little bit more intricate, right? We did have a lot of confusion in the beginning where people were like, "Oh, it's just Legos," and it's like, "Well, it's not just Legos, right?" So once we cleared up the confusion, they were like, "Oh, this makes sense as to why my son could do it, but my daughter who's like 6 or 7 years old could not," right? We hope to move forward with some other programming for younger kids, but for right now, this one we wanted to target like middle school and high school students.
How many kids can?
Let me pull up the numbers real quick. So in total, I know for me, we had them come 41 times when we took attendance. So yeah, for me, we had on the first day 14 students, and then mostly averaged around 8 to 9 students the day at Maine. And then at Southmost, it was the 13 came the first day, and then it also averaged around 7 to 8 students throughout the entire week.
How did you communicate to the schools or that this was going to happen?
I know Kayla takes care of sending like the newsletter to them. I think she put it in there, and I know when she did some outreach, she also handed out some promotional material to them as well.
And we also social media,
Right.
definitely provide a newsletter which is read by all PAs in Nigeria. And so that's how we communicate. I also recently we also met with Visara, our staff and with Visara, and we did.
No, I think you're doing a great job and what you're doing, but I think we need to get more kids to participate. And you know, the reason I'm asking is that I would like to, you know, pay more attention so I can promote it over there in the Southmost area because you have done a wonderful job over there. And I want to make sure that they take advantage.
No, I totally understand that. I grew up from Southland myself. I went to Porter, so I'm very familiar with that area. I used to go to the library all the time for technology, and it's kind of funny now that now I'm providing technology opportunities. So that kind of in a certain sense came full circle. I know another thing was that, sorry, I'll get to yours right now. A lot of people told us that they wanted to participate, but they had already signed up their students for a different kind of activity during the week. So I figured that like a lot of people were doing different kinds of activities for different kind of camps per se.
Then also one of the biggest things that we've learned is the word of mouth. One of the things that and Brenda's going to share, but one of the we've week by week we've seen an increase in utilization for libraries, and so again the word of mouth, seeing the activity that's happening into this room, we saw the maker space going on, and more and more people are coming. So word of mouth, social media, and a newsletter, and of course you, the board, to be advocates, volunteers, and spreading the word. If you do have a social media subscribe to our website or app, so we look forward to other. We're doing our best, and obviously marquees also going to help. But we have a lot of marquees, so we're trying from every angle to promote.
No, I would like to promote it, be your advocate over there in that area. And call the principals and call the librarians. I used to be the assistant superintendent for that. I'm very familiar and I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. I know we did learn a little bit regarding times. We did one at the AM here, and we did one at the PM over there. Me and Lázaro were talking about this, that most of the stuff that people told us that they wanted to sign up for kids here was that they already enrolled in a camp that was in the morning. So we might switch it over next year and do it more like towards the latter part of the day when they're out of work or when they're out of their first camp, the second camp per se.
One of the things, this is the first time you do it.
Correct.
I think it would be a good idea to, the information that you were relating so that when you do it next year, you could also report on the attendance and if there's growth within the program and keep tracking.
I know we have this that software that we use called Desk Tracker that we basically input all our data into. So I know, like you said, if we do it next year, we can definitely pull both reports and see how it grew, and hopefully it will grow. So.
The only other suggestion I have in terms of this outreach would be, there's several private schools very close to here, like Kidmont, Episcopal, St. Mary's. So, they have libraries too, just more with the word out. The other thing is, I have two school age kids. My youngest is in my middle school son is in STISD. So it's the, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's a school district it's in Cameron and in the Alvin Sea. So yeah, we live in Brownsville, but he goes to the school in Sabine. So we go to the library. So that's just not a library, that's also service. That's how the school district serves the Brownsville.
That makes sense because they do pull.
Yeah.
You do have the ideas to go ahead and report it.
Right.
I mean, not Porter, Locust. But you're right. the private
Charter
schools. Oh, yeah, we are.
We have a service coordinator for the payroll. Once allowed, I think, and she's going to be out there to outreach anywhere that we can be farmers market anywhere in the flea market and have a table out there. We actually created a position just for being outreach. Be out there.
And I promise you, it's worth it. It's two of the kids that benefit me were like, yeah, these lovely ladies came to our school and they showed us all this. And then recently I had a patron too that came for 3D printing and she knew what she was talking about. She was like, hey, you have a 3D printer here. I want to go ahead and print this, whatever. My son created a 3D printed birdhouse and he created it in 3D space. He just needs it printed. So eventually I asked her, I'm like, if you don't mind me asking, how did you know about the service? And she's like, oh, these lovely ladies came to my son's school and they told me all about it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, because most people I talk to, like, I didn't even know you had this. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air that somebody actually knew and came in here directly for that service. So that was pretty neat.
So you might want to ask that question when the students come in. How did you get survey?
That's very good.
I have a question. As far as your topics, how do you set that up? Where do you get the topics?
For this one, we decided to go off of a book that we have in our collection, and it's a book on makerspace stuff from very simple projects to a little bit more complex. And we chose the projects in there that we felt would fit the needs of the students of this age group. That was part of, I guess, trying to track down all the little bits and pieces that we needed for that project. But thankfully, that book had like the entire lesson, beginning to end. I was a teacher for four and a half years, so I kind of already have knowledge of how to create curriculum and how to do lesson planning and all that good stuff. So we just broke it down to simple concepts aside from the step by step. So like we were there, like, hey, how's it going over here? It's going pretty good. I need help on this. I'm sure today that we got you. So
How far into the calendar are you as far as scheduling these topics?
we, at least me and Lázaro have met several times, and we try to plan quarterly. So I know sometime this week we're going to finish off this coming quarter. I know that was going to be a little bit, what is more complicated, but we should get together with Kayla and Katie to discuss how it's going to be involved in the SRT, but they also want us to do 2 events for that one. I know for this coming month, we're going to do an introduction to Tinkercad, which is an online 3D modeling software. A lot of patrons have been asking us for how can I create these things? And we decided, well, this is a fair question, right? So we decided to do a small class and show them how to use the web interface, how to log in, how to create it, how to export it, and how to send it to us. So that's been one of our bigger topics that's been, or like our most frequent question asked. We decided to go that route. So we try to gauge it quarter by quarter. What are the patrons asking? What do they want? So we kind of stay current with them.
Is there an adult question?
Yes, no, that's fair. It's funny because it really is a service to everybody, right? It's truly not an age limit when it comes to our programming. I know had a lot of parents that are very interested too, and their kids are talking to me and asking me all these insightful questions, and their parents are like, do it? I'm like, yeah, of course, come on through, right? Like, I'm not gonna tell you no, you're more than welcome. Tinkercad is fairly simple to pick up. It's kind of a click and drag system, and you just click between two buttons. Here's a square, here's a circle. Click this one, click this button, it'll create the whole thing. It's very at your own pace.
And the kids, do they take home the projects?
Yes. So the first two Lego activities, we didn't let them keep it because we might reuse those in future activities. But the circuit board, the fan, and the radio, they did get to keep. The only one they really didn't finish was the FM radio, but we allowed them to come back because we have the soldering machine, right? So they're like, oh, is it cool? I'm like, of course. Sorry that it wasn't completed in time, but we got you.
What? I just thought about this question. Yeah, if there's any program before the next meeting, yeah, definitely. Even the send email, let us know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Or maybe send out.
Yeah, of course. I know that recently me and Kayla have been communicating on adding the makerspace to that list as well. So that way the full inclusion of all of the events going on at this library.
I can also see some networking with other city departments like our lifeline. Hands-on. Like, so
That would be cool. I do like that. Okay. Awesome. Is there any other questions? Okay. Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Good job, sir. Anything under new business to the agenda?
And that, no, we don't.
Yeah, okay, so I would like to consent. And concerning the library, that time that we were supposed to meet out to walk on the trail where they have something over there, I went, totally got lost, finally got there. But what Clint is, when she said Parks and Recreation, I wouldn't be walking or have my kids walk there. The grass was so high. I would be very concerned about their safety. So how can we go work with the city to make sure that walking trail over there behind, where is it, behind, right now, that, the grass was so high that I myself was afraid to walk out there. And I was trying to find a group, but they had, I don't know, I never caught up with them. Is there any way that we can coordinate with the city to make sure that grass is that?
We have a park department, I can relay that.
Because when we went that, I don't know when, you had that activity, that grass should have been cut. It should not have, as high as it was. And me, I would be afraid to have my child walking, because they have a walking trail where they have the books. And forget it, I wouldn't have anybody, even myself, because it is.
Perhaps that standing on their part, share a story. And I agree with you, I would have dismissed aware of that. I actually walked it back because I had car issues and it was cut, but obviously for that time, it should have been, obviously with the special programming, I will make it nice. There is an issue also at night, some of the lights are not working, but that's in relate to them. And there's been several bans on walking that have been vandalized. Or when we already replaced the book one, right?
Yes.
The actual book. A couple of them have been vandalized, but we try to correct them. I walk in myself, and when there's something wrong, I report it to them, so they fix it. So at the end of the day, we need the public.
Well, I understand that, but I think we should see if there's a schedule that they consistently go maintain it, not that we have to be calling or when we have an activity. Because, we're trying to promote here the reading for the kids and things like that.
In theory, there is a schedule because they come in, actually, they're the ones that mow our lawns for our building. So they do have a schedule. But
Thank you. So we need to make sure it's followed for the safety of our kids and our patrons that are out there.
there's more than that report. We're going to be talking about like few pests.
Yes.
Better we making the people in our librarians that passionately done that. Absolutely. So I think
The adult computer classes, we started them at in February. We did it only for 4 weeks. It was gonna be a test trial. And then we were gonna go full on out with a curriculum of 3 months worth of computer classes for the adults, beginning in April. So 2 more weeks, just of that. The average age of the adults that were showing up, it was between the ages of 40 and 70. That was the age range. They were interested in just being familiar with the computer, the desktop. So they're just seeing all of these changes around with their families and at home. And they don't want to be just left behind in technology. They were really good. They were really nice people. But the classes were mostly in Spanish. It is a bilingual class. It is available in English and in Spanish. However, the people we had in the class spoke Spanish. Most we had between 2 to 10 people, 2 to 10 or 8 people, more or less. So, and we had 3 staff members, myself included, in these classes, because we know that since these adults, they have some experience with the computers, but they don't have that confidence. They don't have that confidence to navigate through it. They're afraid of making a mistake and so forth. And so, with us being there, 3 people, not just one for the entire class, but 3 people, they feel better asking questions, and it helps us to each one of them at some point, or at least more than once throughout the whole class. The classes for the first 4 weeks, they were for just 1 hour. It was just 1 hour. 30 minutes lesson, talking, and as one of the adults mentioned, it was more about like theology of computers, because we were letting them know about how our computers being used, what technology has driven our lifestyles to, the changes, and how it could be good and at the same time bad. But if it's bad, it's just, they could probably see it as maybe inconvenient or just not something unknown to them. But not because it's unknown, it means that it's something bad for them. It's something that they have to learn, something that they have to adjust to, be resilient with. So that was a Southwest class. And then at Maine, that is where we had most of the people, the higher crowd. Like at least we always had 5 people. The most was 12, and that was on the first day. The experience level of these adults on computers is it's a little different. At Maine, they kind of knew it, and they wanted to strengthen their skills. Like they want to practice more on the Microsoft programs, doing Excel and Word. And whenever we did show them like how to do the symbols, pressing Alt or the shortcuts on the keyboard, they were like, "Oh wow, I didn't know," and so forth. But then again, even at Maine, Spanish was the dominating language. Spanish. So, really nice people. That's what I can say. Let me see.
Just curious, like when you, based on their questions, I mean, what's your sense of, I guess, what they're trying to get out of it? Like, changing job, or trying a new job, or just want to be able to interact with their family and technology, sort of I guess, based on their questions, so what are they?
Yes.
What are they trying to get out of this?
Basically, just to be knowledgeable. I guess maybe communication with their family, not so much with jobs, but because they didn't say, oh, I need this because of my job. It's requiring me to learn these skills. Just very few people, like specific people will say, okay, I want to apply to, I need to do an application so I can get cell phone service. And so he wanted to know how to get on the computer, log into the website, but because he couldn't communicate by phone with the people because he didn't understand them. That was his reason for why he couldn't follow through in renewing his application for the phone. Because on the phone, he couldn't understand what they're saying. And so he wanted to just follow the website. And so that's what he came. He's right there. Sorry, I saw him, so that's why.
That's interesting, so it's not really work, it's just maybe personal interest, but also just trying to. live
Yes.
in today's society, I guess.
That's basically it. Personal interest, it's not like urgent or a requirement. It's not a required task for them. It's optional. It's just personal choice.
Now, you were very nice and I talked to you, unfortunately, it was during the cold weather, I couldn't attend. But for example, you said they want for personal. I was interested in Excel programs and things like that. So you would individualize at that time the needs of everybody?
Yes. So when after the class, say for example, we spoke about computer parts. I wanted them to know how to turn it on and off the computer. To know what every device is named, what it's for. Like on the very first day, we showed them where the webcam is on the computer, like on those right there, and even the cell phones ones. At the top of the monitor, if you press on it, the webcam pops up. They're like, wow, they were amazing. You guys can do that too. Like even on computers, you can video communicate with them. But they would ask us specific questions like that. Of Excel.
When I talked to you at that time that I wanted to come, it was already filled up here. And then some people were not showing up. How are we communicating when these classes are going to be? And should we schedule an ongoing throughout the year, not just at a specific time? Like, for example, once a month or this month, and how was the information communicated when the classes were going to take place?
Well, again, I'm passing the information for she's our outreach.
Okay.
That's what I'm posting on social media. I'm letting know my word of mouth to patrons about these classes as well. Or they come and ask, what about the when are you guys going to have a computer classes? And then I show them the flyers and the dates and what we're going to be showing.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm referring to, that maybe we should have a flyer when, hey, the schedule of when classes are going to be a consistent schedule, not that, hey, we're going to have one right now. Because we're starting to get people back at the library, because before, I know it used to be full, and now we're having trouble with that. I think the communication, how are we getting it out to the public? How does Courtney get it out? I know I found out because I called and asked, hey, do we have computer classes? And you had already started them. But if we did it consistently or maybe improve the means of how we're letting patrons know, because we don't have very many patrons right now. It's slow coming back. Everybody's afraid.
Maybe we can tell patrons where to find the information. Something's going to be made available to them, listing the different avenues as far as where we share information. Two, I was also thinking of the ACE program, adult continuing education, as far as sending a calendar out and sharing that information to those adults about this here program.
Through the district?
Yes.
Because we have an adult.
Stuff there on all.
Is it posted on the website? You have those classes on the library website?
We're working on it.
Well, you see, that would be better, that, go on the website and see what's scheduled, and so we can get it out, to the people over there, and, in the different, southwest here. Because I know I want to go.
And I do want to continue these classes beyond June. They will restart again, like what the class is about on April the 5th. Yes. The following Tuesday in July will be the same class. So it'll be a repeat for those that missed it at the very beginning or that just want to check it out. And how many slots do you, let's say for the beginning session? April 5th. Let's start off with that. So right now we only have computers. And we're doing it in the space 14. Right over in this area. One time we brought in a laptop, and that was okay. They just tagged along in the class. And we were able to help them in the laptop as well. So we're flexible in that.
But could I find this information on the website for the library? Okay, so I would suggest that we do that. And like you say, you have only 10 computers. Do you have different patrons for the different classes, or they're consistent, the same 10?
Okay, so this time, because we were having that issue with people saying yes and then no and everything, now it's just first come, first serve. There's not going to be any registration. So we want the people that come that are really interested, they'll and the space will be there.
But if they come and you don't have enough computers?
Well, that's well, right now,
let me interject that. Have enough computers, it's just because of you don't have a specific group of computers, you cannot block a certain area because you the rest of the public. So we generally stand by historically certain times are not being used. Like in the morning here, more used than south is more in the morning, it's hardly ever anybody there. So we have computers. It's just we cannot segregate or apartheid one or discern for computers. But we're going to accommodate as many as we can without affecting the rest. This is one of the things this is the beginning, it's a snowball. One of the things that I envision in the future is have one-on-one people check out a librarian and do that. So this is one of the beginning. We haven't had it for years. So we're learning how this process works the best way, how to promote what are the top 10 subjects they want to know about, social media, how do they interact with the family, more else. So this is only a learning process, what it is that we want to do. We're also going to have some adult classes that we do. So this is a learning process. Many years, so we're learning as to what is the thing. Sort of for the mixed space, we learn from them what they want to know. They want the basics, on the intermediate, and based on that, that's our different surveys to see what it is they want to do. It's a learning process for us to see what they. We don't want to force them. This is what you want to learn. We want them. What are you doing? In a perfect world, would be regular classes and then we say, you know what, a few weeks on Excel. How about schedule a time for several classes and one more? That's the perfect world, but we need to stable, start something and learn what works. What doesn't.
Let me ask, what's your comfort level as far as those who bring their own laptops? Because I would think that when they go home, they might not have a computer. They might just have a family laptop or kids' laptops. I'm just throwing that out. What's your comfort level as far as them bringing their own personal device?
I was like,
Is that something that we can kind of share, hand it out with open
Yeah, like you
bring your own laptop if you would like to learn to know more on how to work it, kind of thing. I know the phraseology. That's all that I need.
Because this room used to be used for computer classes. And they had, I don't know how many, because I initially started there. So why is it that when the money is appropriate, we cannot have a computer, or we can have consistent classes and not have it?
we're working on that. It's just we did it with
on the very first day,
we have a computer to
Here, like, if this could be your computer room.
in theory, that will be one to get the computer. I do like a laptop. Here, or computer. That's a computer. But we haven't used it.
Okay, so you're working on it. Oh, good, thank you.
It's just, we don't have a computer, they have another department. Eventually, we have computers, but when COVID happened, they took them for telework. So they were, the way it was good, because they're gonna replace them with brand new computers. They kept the old one with that, we're gonna have brand new computers. We're in the process, just a matter of putting it.
Okay, good.
I do want to say that I like the idea of if the person comes in because they're having a specific problem, that they might be able to schedule an appointment
Yeah.
to get the help that they need.
We have a schedule librarian, check out a librarian, or anything, if we have an issue, personal issue, or, what, I just interact with, I don't have patience, or I don't have Instagram, so that's the ultimate goal. We are short staffed with a couple of librarians, so, but our goal is for that to be one-on-one.
I was also say that for introducing particular apps. Sounds great.
Another question, that just sort of how it works out. So like, let's say you have computer parts one, 5 people. Someone has a lot of questions about Excel. Like you sort of say, you should come to our Microsoft Office week class, or you try to get to those questions, or do you kind of a set curriculum if you're just facing
On every class is scheduled, well, it's going to be scheduled for 2 hours. We realized that 1 hour was just too short for them because they even wanted to stay longer. So we were going to keep the 30 minutes lesson where they ask questions about the topic, right? We let them know about the information, the process, they ask us questions and so forth. We talk. And then the next 30 minutes they will be given an assignment. Like, okay, complete this task based on what you just, right, what we spoke of, just to see if they got the concept. And then the following hour it's gonna be independent study, where they're gonna be on their own, they're gonna be, based on the assignment, they can continue working, practicing, or if they have questions of anything else, we will be there to help. And we've done it.
And we want to, our goal to that information. Definitely, have more librarians, we have more one-on-one. Sometimes people are maybe afraid or nervous to ask questions, but we want to try to make it as possible without affecting.
But it sounds like it sounds like it could be flexible based on your students.
With different needs that you could go to for example, April the 5th, you have computer parts. What am I going to learn if I come? What is it that the lesson entails?
That one is gonna be about what the whole composition of the computer itself. The things that we install, what the mouse is, the mouse pad, the monitor, the functions of it. The keyboard, what everything is. And they would also learn like how to move the mouse, how to type on the keyboard, because sometimes people are like,
One of the things that even though there, a lot of us have a different skill level,
I was going to say that.
and one of the things that I want to bring up, and to no disrespect, when I help the patient, I said, can you go up? I mean, you assume that, no, I don't know. So, some of us, obviously, are working, some of us, some willing to gauge what it is, and the patient also gauges what they acknowledge. Some people are afraid to just do it. And so, again, but the good thing is that we're flexible. If you only 2 people, that, but we always adjust.
Well, not necessarily straight, but because, for example, computer parts, you could also say for beginners learning the computer, because if I come, I already know,
So maybe just a wording.
yeah,
yes,
Maybe differently.
yes.
But I think the topics, they seem kind of more beginning.
That's what I try to do.
Like, I agree with you saying maybe it could be a lot. Like it's all complicated with like beginner, intermediate.
exactly.
So people know like Oh, that's not.
And it's because we also had those patrons who said, no, I don't want to learn about that. I just want to know this. Like that's, I don't have that question. I don't want to be learning something. So we did have those.
Well, my compliments to you and for getting more of this information at both libraries. And I would love to go visit the parent groups in the different high schools and encourage your parents to go.
I think they want to do it, be involved with the parent liaison. So we have a meeting with parents. I think that's also very important.
Did you mention you were always working with AARP?
We didn't have a ARP in a direct group that.
Yes. But what the both libraries and actually it's gonna be, the Tuesdays are basically gonna be computer days because we'll start with South Coast having AARP computer class followed by our computer class open to the public. Then move in the afternoon here to May and the same thing. First session will be specifically for AARP and then the ones that are open to the public.
I'm involved with AARP. Interesting group.
I would also like to suggest, once we get this going, you brought up a good point. A lot of people do everything on their phones now, because they might not know how to work. So maybe that would be the segue. Technology. Yes, we still have to figure out how to put that in there. Or, I mean,
Implement it.
yes, how to somehow, what days or when do we start reading? Maybe after they get very much.
And it might be that second hour where there's a tie-in. If you see this on your desktop, but you also have, this as an app that just mirrors this, the tie-ins. That might be something.
The only thing though, so we have to caution them about by going to sites so they can get viruses. Maybe just.
And so the point of these computer classes is about safety as well also. And I've mentioned it a lot. Like we want them to be able to know how to go to websites or which ones to go to and which ones not to.
That's what I want.
To not be afraid. And that's why whenever they do come to these classes, we want to make them comfortable enough so that they're like, oh, they're not going to judge me or think this of me because I don't know. And they are very self-conscious. So I like in one of the classes, I think it was the third class where I was talking to them about the internet and how to do research there. I showed them the concept of stress. What is that? Like they didn't even know about it. But when I opened their eyes to that, they realized that they were not the only ones who are like afraid of playing with a computer. So they're like, okay,
It's interesting. It's interesting. There's so much what you can do with kids, safety on the internet, and this programming about. There's like curriculum about that. But I mean, I think about this my family. We will go in and buy and pay the bills. We want in person spend hours doing it. They just don't trust doing it online. They were saying maybe some of it it's I'm helping with that kind of stuff online, but yeah, some of it is just I agree. There's some fear and people just what do they know how to do it if someone could sit down and show them. And I agree absolutely with that idea with the phones, like being tied in at some point with this, but there's a lot of free apps. Maybe there's definitely a lot of.
Learning to scan documents.
Yeah, like during the pandemic, for instance, like my wife works, she used to work at a financial counseling nonprofit. A lot of the tax stuff, it all went online and people had to learn to submit their documents online. So, yeah, I think there's partners who.
I will be contacted.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Good discussion. So we can share this with the community, right?
Yes, sir, and I'm going to take updates as well.
I have a couple of more things to the library report.
I know that last month I had kind of talked to you guys a little bit about that we had started the process for the mural over at South Mill. So, we are now, where document has been submitted by, their muralist. And it is now at legal, so we are one step closer to getting the completion going. The program already been advertised at school, as we mentioned, is going to be a community-based mural. So, information has already been passed out to Lopez High School, and we're waiting on the bills from the kids to hopefully, try to get a little bit of it advanced and going while we still wait, on the legal process.
Let me add that again. One of the best things is the mirror. Leah, she is amendable. She's not going to put her thoughts, if you will. It's going to be based on whatever the panel of judges, whoever the next event, this drawing is the one we're going to use as one. That's what's going to be after, or a combination of all around the section of the mural. So it's going to be community. It's not going to be the artist's idea what thought was going to be. It's what thought of the community wants it to be.
And how is it going to bring the suggestions to you? As to the art classes, to the churches, to the, what?
For the local food and
The mural.
The mural. They will be submitting their artwork. I have been reaching out to the schools and trying to speak to the art teachers especially, so they can contact patients, students, or participation. But like submitting their artwork, they can deliver it, by person in these branches or via, however comfortable they feel, because we still understand that this COVID is public. After that, entries get submitted, we will be creating, and we will be reviewing the entries as well.
So you're contacting the school. Fine arts department, has that been, the district has fine arts department. And when you say it's going to cover the kids, it's the city community, the church is going to be involved, or is it just totally at the total?
Right
I
now,
know
we're
you can't involve. Thank you, correcting myself.
it's going to be, in fact, Ms. Gonzalez is being the board chair. We will set up and we have been working with her. All part of the department. So that's how we started this. It'll be school related, related. We believe that's the best way of.
We're going to look into the Porter also,
yes,
and what about the middle schools?
right now we are aiming for 16-year-olds that are older
Okay,
students. So I am talking to high schools and even with parents as well, with anybody with, those age.
So what's your timeline?
The entry is finishes on April, but I have been contacting them from,
The only reason I said it because is there a flyer?
yes, sir.
and we have one.
The only reason I was thinking because sometimes the schools have elementary, high school, local, state, art poster contests. But the idea is very similar, like you're getting submissions, for judges, and then there's a word for they're chosen to be in second place, they still get honored.
Mr. Pineda brought up a good point in the, for example, charter schools. Do we have any out of that area there or?
Idea,
Idea?
and I have
Which one? Is the one in front of,
Thank you.
Lopez?
And one of the good things is we want to secure the muralist first, as far as when it happens, once we decide whether it's really a coming that one of the judges or whomever, once we decide, we're always, before she starts doing the game, we leave it to do it, and we have to attempt to do it. So once we decide, we gotta make sure everybody will be on board as to what is out there. It's not gonna be, surprise, we're all gonna be involved in it.
Don't think you want to be surprised.
Mind if I ask you who are already the selection committees?
No, it's really process. The main thing is securing, getting the PO and securing the building. That's the most important thing. She can be talking to the kids, motivate them, what they want to do. We don't have a committee. I'm not artistic, so I'm not gonna be one of them. But again, whoever wants to volunteer, the more the merrier. It has to be that all of us are in agreement that's gonna be colorful.
I think there's a very good group that we can approach, the ladies that do the instructors at the Fine Arts Museum. And
We're
I'm
open to
names
that.
if you want the instructors that do the teaching, the painting, the music.
And then one of the things we can do, if even, again, this is something new, and we want to do it right. So if by that date, it's not getting up or something that we can comment that.
Quality? Yeah. But that's a good idea, but I also, if you're gonna have a committee, it's a good idea for Vanilla, is that we contact the finance department of the also, some of those teachers in the high school that, we all.
The only thing I would, so where's from possibly there was. Just,
From the legal part of it.
well, no, not the, no. You have a city attorney, No, it's more just in terms of, I've been involved in that for since you were. Sometimes it's hard to get entries, so you try to do things like, there'll be a prize, even we're involved in one where, at the end of it, after submissions, after the judges, look at them, get their rankings, there was like, almost like a award ceremony to recognize the top entries. The parents, the kids are there, they're being showcased, the parents are there. It's kind of a great event.
And that may be the case, again, we have, we're gonna, it will be enjoyable.
You displayed art on their log as well. Yes. I can see that.
Yeah.
And even, the word is that they can put the word, their name. And again, it'll, we want the quality, maybe do two in one side, combine them, for own mix, so it can jive. Remember, we have 4 walls, I think it's 300 feet, linear feet. And so it's gonna be a big colorful.
But I think what Mr. Pineda is alluding to is maybe the presentation for the winner, like at the city commissioners meeting, something, to put recognition, just like we do with the school board, that we bring in the kids, that would be fantastic.
And we're open to that. Again, that's why we brought it up, because it's gonna be a big, besides checking out our work plan, I'm passionate about it. And then this is gonna lead to new part of it. But yeah, all this, this is going to be the world, and we have no set, we're learning, and obviously you guys are gonna be.
I can see too where have 12 sections and showcase the art.
Here,
And I'm sure it's gonna have to get in this favor. You agree that one can put it out there. Everything, there has to be things.
legal, like I said, legal.
Well, if you want, there's examples of like this, and then you go and just like a sample. But yeah, like a 1 page, you throw all the stuff and then. Because, yeah, there's lots of groups that have art poster contests in schools. Very similar sort of.
Would you help us with that?
Yeah, I'll forward them. I've been trying to do it for this.
We have a good
When is it gonna happen?
No, it's just that for AMCs, they have count. Every month they would do additional days. We done the because the library has a physical count.
Oh, okay, okay. Or like for the month of March.
Yeah, you can even have watermark. Student artwork and calendar.
Yeah.
Monthly events.
But that's not a bad idea. Posting a calendar event, making a poster, putting entrance, different things. To make everybody both in English.
You can spell it. Another update, the children's department is already in the planning stages for our first live extravaganza post COVID. And it's going to be taking place at both libraries, April 7th. But we're going to have different stations. We're going to have our station. We'll also have the egg hunt station. We'll also have the Easter bunny there. Snacks for them. So I'm excited because it'll be the first time in 2 years. We got really great groups. So we're really hoping that this is going to bring in the kids and just put them in time for them to play.
What was the date on that again? April 7th?
April 7th and 14th, or Thursday.
Thursdays usually are busy.
Do you have a time on that?
I believe it starts at 5 o'clock, but I 5 to 7, I believe that, let me verify and we can get that information.
Each library or?
No, April 7th will be at the South Coast and 14th will be here at Maine. It'll be on 2 separate days.
Your flyer?
Yes, there are. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And remember to check your computer.
6 to 8. So that will be 6 to 8.
It's like that. That's going.
I don't think we still, but I have like offers.
Oh, for airplanes.
Take the flyer and send it to people.
That's what I'm thinking. I have to-
I'll let Kayla know so she can go ahead and get it over to Margo and she can forward it to all.
I believe that's on library.
The other thing that I would like to start planning, and I encourage this a lot, especially when I was in the library, are we still working with the ISD, and we still have the accelerated readers? I know because of COVID, all that stuff. But remember how we used to, from the library funds, that friends of the library, we would buy the incentives. We would have different, computers and things that it's a follow through to encourage kids to read during the summer. And it depends how many books they took, and they took it online. And I just want to make sure we check on that on that accelerated reader, because it's a fantastic program. And I know that the Friends has a lot of money that was not spent, that we can assist the library with providing the incentive.
To answer your question, we are open to it. And so we have for the longest time. And again, it's all from Ms. Ara. And so by all means, I don't believe we did that yet, we didn't themselves. But we're open to that. In fact, one of the things that we are going to make a change that I haven't discussed with staff, but one of the things that we might need to demark every AR book that we have, color coded so our patrons can visually see the exact catalog. So that's something that we move forward now that we have a new administration. It's going to be more effective to make it easier for our kids, for readers to see which are AR books. But we're open to that because we're about reading. So,
I will check into that, I'm reading enough.
You don't have adult book, but
what?
adult book.
We tried it.
We tried it in the past and we just resumed it last month. We should be having another one tomorrow, I believe. We're trying it virtual and in person. as well. It was a small attendance last time. It's like everything we still are focusing more on the promotion and hopefully we'll get attendance up and going. And it's called, BYOB book club. Bring your own book club.
I'll be quiet.
No, but, for example, when you say bring your books, how does this work between?
So we, in the past, we tried it to where we had a specific book, and that's the book that you were going to discuss. It didn't go well for us. We used to provide the book. Friends of the library actually gave us the money to go ahead and purchase the book. And people would take the book. That was not the problem. It's just they wouldn't come back for the actual program. So this time we're taking a little bit of a different approach, and it's more like, you know what? Come in and let's just talk about books in general. So I can be talking about one book, and this is how I felt about it, and then the next person can see, well, I read this book on this month, and that way, kind of like a book recommendation session in which people talk about their specific books that they read throughout the month to hopefully encourage the other participants to pick up that same book. So we're taking it from that perspective at this time to see how it.
We also maybe have two ongoing programs, well, one, for example, and I've heard of people that do that, they'll read the book and discuss, and that would be very exciting for you. And also bring your own books, because everybody may have different tastes, and, maybe, hey, I like mystery, I like action, or other people are more, like something different. So maybe I like that. And so if you have a meeting, where is this posted? Do we post it on the website?
Yes, I believe that one is already posted on the website, and again, we use social media a lot. On our newsletters and even in our calendars, we do post the different symbols for which social media we're on. So we have been promoting, and we're just hoping that it picks up. But
Are we getting a calendar of all the events?
Or you said if we registered tonight, we can give you a tender.
All of us, the committee, so we can be aware of it.
Definitely.
A follow-up, say for instance, you already met once, so many attendants and they had their recommendations. Is that something which you can go ahead and create a list of recommendations by our patrons and list those that you have available at the library?
Yeah, we can get that. See what we can do.
So when is your meeting tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the one I know the virtual one is at 11:20. The one in person should be here at the main branch. The one here, tomorrow at 11 is the virtual and it's
This will be.
Yes, where?
It's 6 p.m. here at this library. The main.
So,
Where, for whole meeting?
It's in the main meeting room. Yes,
Do you have that many people?
it's going to be your second one. The last time it was a small group, so we'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, but it's rather like it's not, it's huge.
Yeah.
To be this small room that makes it closer and more,
And what we're doing is we're alternating libraries. So last month in person, it was over at Southmont. It was actually in our Windows area, and so we had a circle chair set up to be a little bit more.
okay.
Also, you have to answer for it is on our website by days.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna say, why can't we hold it both at Southmost and you?
I was thinking alternating.
No, it's not consistent. They may have, I need consistency here and there, but we say, hey, on Monday, we're gonna do it here at Southmost, on Tuesday, we're gonna do it here. That would be more consistent. It makes it easier for the people to get to the library that may not be able to come all the way from Southmost over here.
We'll be definitely looking for it. That's something because of limited staff right now.
Yeah.
We have our, we can look into that. Sometimes it's because of the distance of that.
No, but different days, not the same day. That would be horrible for you.
We definitely.
Take it under that.
So tomorrow at 6, okay, but that.
Could also just be people have a book club, feel free to use our space. You know what I mean? That could be, it's on the website. These are our featured led book clubs that are, they're not doing anything except just maybe offering a space.
We also work more with
Yeah.
that, so.
Because I know, right, there are people, have a small group in my church, we meet virtually, but yeah, I think the book are out there.
We've got meetings, people meetings where they can meet with. Club or not, but they do need to hear one club,
Right.
many.
Well, maybe actually, this goes out there, but if there was like one day a month, like with a the library, offer like coffee or refreshments. Bring the book club, I don't know, just basically you're creating a space, it's not something you have to like staff.
You know, that's a very interesting thing, something that we haven't done. As far as new refreshing, we have sponsorship, maybe the friends. Because can you see the funds for,
Which is coffee.
but but that's a very good idea. Definitely.
And even the book, just, and I love the idea, that we can meet here and they can bring their own things here. And just the fact that they have a common place to meet, and that would be wonderful and promoted. Because, you know, I'm a reader, I'm a friend reader, and that's a fantastic idea.
And at the end of the day, we need, our goal, all of us here, say to you, that we need our language, different avenues, we'll get together, utilization. So, yeah, definitely.
But I think the thing we learned about, we used to live in Boston years ago, big museums have wine and cheese. And it really was just wine and cheese out, and we just go out, maybe there would be different performance. I thought you have to do all that, but just maybe just create the venue of this
And
space.
then you can come
Like
in.
one day a month. At the library.
We have karaoke night.
Could also do like board game night, where people bring their board game to play.
That's great.
That's right, is it, game night?
It's always just
Yeah.
Yes, we have been having a lot of great.
we learn. Okay, we pretend to know everything, so we, like that you guys are inputting and we are, I think, definitely gonna try it out.
Now we make it more community based, that the communities have, like you said, you want people here, you want to encourage.
That's our ultimate goal.
And even the parents, if their kids are out there reading or doing homework and all that, you know, it's great.
Something that's off topic, you mentioned about the other business, we can always put something new, but I'm gonna speak that one of the things that at this point in time, it hasn't been a big need, but eventually it will be need. We need that. Kind of be a need is cafe services, and so the one thing that I would bring up to the board is here, not a major request at this point. One thing for sure is that we will not be having cafe service as it was in the past, big food restaurant, but we are in our small, vending machine, people that need. That's one thing that we are starting to get some questions about. But as far as the cafe, and you are new, we have a big cafe, we had our staff.
Let's see, let's see, that's still has an option.
Pardon?
It's in the area.
That's one of the options. Our budget, the cafe staff budget, we come up with those staff what we get. And money, the budget item to buy product. With us, which is fine, we can lease it, we can, I think we can revenue and take it here. Then we'll just start somewhere else. So we're gonna start small, but that's how it started. Initially back in 2010, and then see what that is. That's something that is very, people are getting more comfortable and coming in and all that. That's something that I'll let you know in the future. I wanted your guidance. We want to start small. We want to provide that, but we want to have no expense to the city.
Well, let me just give in my opinion on that, because I used to volunteer for Friends of the Library. I did not like it. There was no respect. People were talking loud. Kids were running around. That's not what a library is for. That's not what it's for. Okay, if I want to go buy a cup of coffee and, take it for doing my work, fine, but not to that you were serving food and this library was so loud. It was not a library, it was a cafe. And that's not the purpose of this.
And that's
At
why,
all.
that's why we want to make a conscious decision. I think provide something minimal, a copy book, but not to what people call it.
I would suggest that if you have a cafe or selling a coffee, it'd be over there in the lobby, that they can go out there, drink their coffee and chat, and not be doing it in the library, because it was getting out of hand. It was very disrespectful. But if you can have a couple of tables over there that people want to go to break, they want to get their coffee, that would be fine, but not in the park.
Again, and this doesn't going to happen overnight. We need to bring more people in our work. The business is not going to come in next time.
There's different viewpoints about that as far as the library evolving. Not much anymore. It has a more into so we need to be mindful of that. But I do.
But I can tell you what was happening. People were on their cell phone, very loud, laughing. There was no respect. People couldn't really do any work. And like, for example, I saw right now a gentleman, and I like that. They come in and they're teaching, and I mean, a child how to play chess and all that, which is great. But it was just terrible. I don't know, were you here when that cafe was open?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, I really, to me, that's not a library. I'm all for it. Coffee is over there in the outside, and you have your tables and people want to work or use the phone. Yes,
So we're going to take a vote. So I'm just letting you know.
And put the hands in the library.
That's the end of it.
Oh, this is my kid.
no.
Yes, and that's the end.
Yeah, I'm going to say, if it's on the gate, go by the fellow, I don't care to listen to somebody.
So would anybody like to?
And I think this was a wonderful discussion.
Thank you for your answer. Well put your.
Yeah, yeah. And so again, when we send the email next month, we committed to inform you that hopefully you give me the time. We'll let you know, and then Maribel will be.
But I thought we weren't. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
If possible, if technology allows, and I don't know how this is gonna go, I would like to meet. That's happened in April for many reasons, if the changes. that
And
we-
invited them,
No, but I mean, we were the board, we should be.
flexible.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Ms. Shaw, for.
And you did a great job on that. Thank you. And
The other question?
Yes, let me go ahead and end this. More of a recommendation type of question.